Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy Thursday, July 25th. Hopefully we're having a good one out there, and for a lot of us it is a very wet one, but not quite for everybody, and we're going to talk about that in today's video. We've got, again, a lot of rain in one part of the country. We've got some drier air in another part, and some of that dry air is going to try to move in and kind of bring some relief from all of this rain that we've seen. Also, we have potentially some mischief in the tropics for the first time since Beryl was a problem, so we're going to break that down for you in today's video as well. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We are trying to get to 10,000 here by the end of hurricane season. Also like the video. That does a lot to help it out. And comment, let me know what you're seeing in your neck of the woods, especially if you're getting all this rain. Let me know how much rain you've gotten. Personally, here in Charlotte, I think we've gotten at least a good 3 or 4 inches of rain within the past couple of days. So again, that drought relief is really working in and fixing a lot of problems here. I think with all that said, though, we can go ahead and jump on into things here and taking a look at satellite imagery. You'll notice, again, this cloud cover is not hard to find, and we've kind of got two separate areas that are working in tandem to bring this cloud cover, or really 3 areas, I guess. We've got one high pressure off here, just off the east coast. We've also got kind of a trough digging down here, and then we have another trough here, and all of this is working in tandem to just bring all of this moisture out of the Gulf and even out of the Atlantic for some of us. And just kind of funneling it in through this corridor. And again, I talked to you about this really a week ago. I drew lines on the map. I said, in between this area and this area, we're going to see a lot of rain the next week. And sure enough, here we are. You can see that just fine on the cloud cover map. So again, that forecast definitely verifying. But again, still not done with it yet. Still got another day or two for most of us of that rain before I think we get a little bit of a break going into the weekend, which is, a good thing. All right, radar kind of matches cloud cover map pretty well. Again, there's this corridor of rainfall. Specific places that are really getting it bad this morning, the Texas Gulf Coast, which you guys have been getting hammered with rain. And again, you had Beryl, earlier this month, and at the end of the month, you're getting all this tropical moisture as well. So again, flooding has been a concern down there, and unfortunately, that is continuing from Texas, Louisiana, even up into portions of Mississippi have gotten a lot of rain here over the past couple of days, and that's going to continue today. Also, over towards the Carolinas and southeastern Virginia, a lot of rain has fallen, more falling today, and that will continue throughout the day today. And again, probably even tomorrow as well before, again, some relief going into this weekend due to that trough to the north. It's going to try to funnel in some drier air, which we will definitely hope for here in the medium run. So again, we'll watch out for that. Watches, warnings, advisories here east of the Rockies. The main thing, again, flooding right now. We've got one area in the eastern and coastal areas of the Carolinas, even up through Norfolk that could see some flooding. Also down into Houston, San Antonio Bay, Galveston Bay, and even extreme southwestern Louisiana there under those flood watches. And again, all of that for the reasons I just showed you. A lot of rain has fallen and more is going to fall. Further up towards the west here, up into the northern Rockies, fire danger has been a concern. In fact, there's a city up in Canada. I want to say Jasper, Canada might be the name of the city, somewhere up here. But either way, we had a big time fire break out there, and unfortunately, it spread really quickly. And we could see the same problems here through Montana, the Dakotas, Wyoming, Nebraska, even down through Colorado, and even portions of the desert Southwest. So if you don't have to burn anything, don't do it. Again, we're in that prime fire danger time of the year. So again, watching out for that. Please be careful. And again, really just kind of, praying for those folks that are already dealing with those fire weather concerns. Again, not a fun thing at all. All right, so talking about some of this drier air, again, unfortunately not so great for the fire side of things, but good news for the East Coast. It has been so wet. Here it comes. Notice this pocket of dry air up into Canada and how this is kind of slowly but surely working off towards the south and east. Much of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota already feeling those nicer dew points this afternoon and morning, and we're going to continue that trend, and likely this is going to really even get down into the northeast and potentially try to work its way down the backside of the Appalachia chain. And even get down into portions of the mid-Atlantic. So again, a lot of us are going to feel the effects of this nicer air, but unfortunately in the southeast and the mid-south, it is humid and it is muggy out there. And unfortunately, it just doesn't feel all that good right now. Again, though, we'll hold out hope for some relief here. And also, the good news is we're only a week away from August. So once we start getting towards the middle of August and starting into September, we can start to look at those, long-range pattern changes that really might start to make it feel like fall, and not just these kind of, fake bursts of drier air for a day or two. But again, we'll take whatever we can get. All right. Severe weather threat today in the east. Carolina marginal risk. It's been a classic the past couple of days. And again, the main threat is going to be some strong straight line winds. But I can't rule out a brief spin-up tornado in these tropical environments. And again, if it happens, you probably won't get any warning. It'll probably just happen and it'll be quick and weak. But again, it is a threat to kind of watch out for. In fact, we had a tornado warning yesterday in Virginia and the day before in the exact same part there up near Danville. Now, both of those storms didn't produce tornadoes to my knowledge, but again, either way, it goes to show that anything can happen this time of year in these very tropical atmospheres. So again, just keep an eye to the sky, even if the tornado threat is near zero. Still never completely zero. So going to watch out for that today. Tomorrow, severe weather threat shifts northward a little bit here for our Friday afternoon into the DMV area. And again, we'll watch out for that. Could cause a little bit of concern for some strong straight line winds. And again, maybe a brief isolated tornado, not completely out of the question. But that's a severe weather threat. Flooding also a threat, though, and it's a big one today. We've upticked this threat just a little bit, but still some nonetheless here through the Carolinas, up to a slight risk of excessive rainfall for really the entirety of the Carolinas, even down into western Georgia through the Savannah area and southwestern Virginia there into Norfolk, Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, that general area. Also a slight risk here for portions of East Texas, much of Louisiana, down through Jackson, Mississippi, and a moderate risk of excessive rainfall here right along the Texas Gulf Coast into the Louisiana Gulf Coast there through southwest Louisiana. Again, Galveston Bay, San Antonio Bay, down there through central Texas and that area. Again, excessive rainfall could be a threat, and we've seen so much already. It's not going to take much more to cause flooding issues. So again, have a way to get those warnings, especially if you live in a flood-prone area. Definitely have a way to get those warnings, as that water could rise quickly. So again, need to watch out for that today. Tomorrow we'll do it all again. A little bit of a less threat, but still here through the Carolinas, a slight risk of excessive rainfall, which could lead to flash flooding. And again, the one good news is we had drought. The latest drought monitor today, which I probably should have pulled up, it has really beaten back on a lot of that drought. So there is a silver lining, and at the end of the day, nature is going to balance itself out, and that's exactly what this rainfall is doing. Is helping fix those drought concerns and replacing it with a little bit of flooding concerns, but definitely nicer weather nonetheless. All right. Let's see here. So we're going to start with the next 48 hours. We're going to start in the plains. Normally we start in the east, but the plains are going to be a little bit more quiet, so I think it'll be a little more proactive of us to just kind of quickly breeze through this area, and then we'll start talking about the more active weather in the southeast and northeast. But this afternoon, again, that drier, nicer air is doing wonders in limiting those precipitation chances. Still going to be warm, definitely, even hot, but that drier air, again, oozing southbound, and really the furthest north I think we're going to get any pop-up storms would be Missouri, Kentucky, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, maybe even southern Ohio here. But to the north of there, Chicago, Gary, even Detroit, the UP of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Again, nice dry day today. And even going into our Friday afternoon, that high pressure going to slowly scoot off a little bit. So rain chances are going to try to push a little bit further north probably. And even a little bit of a trough out towards the Dakotas could cause some rainfall issues that way. But all things considered, again, another nice day for our Saturday, and going into Saturday morning, again, potentially a little bit of a short wave here, tries to move through Minnesota, but for most of us in the Midwest, still a nice day Saturday here, although this only goes out to Saturday morning, so that's the latest out there. As for the South Central Plains, again, more active here with that Texas flooding. And this afternoon, here we go, 2, 3, 4 o'clock this evening, or afternoon, I guess the sun doesn't set till about 9 now. So, again, a lot of rainfall falling in this area. So, need to be prepared for that. It's going to pile up quickly. Some folks are going to see more than others. So, be aware of that. But either way, throughout the day today, rounds of heavy, moderate rainfall continue into the overnight. More rounds of that rain. This includes Louisiana and Mississippi as well. So, again, this is overnight tonight. By the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, it's still raining, especially here into the Houston area. A lot of flooding going to continue into these regions, into Louisiana. And then tomorrow afternoon, I think less than today, but still pockets of heavy rainfall continuing. And then I think, probably even again on Saturday. So unfortunately, just the flow that is happening here right off the Gulf into Texas is bringing a lot of this rain. And that's going to be a theme now through at least Saturday morning here. But I do think today's probably going to be the brunt of it. And then tomorrow, a little less, but still, absolutely pockets of very heavy rainfall. So I need to watch out for that for sure. All right, the Northeast, again, we're going to see some rain this afternoon here, but it's going to be isolated in nature, and it's going to really depend where you're at. A couple trouble spots, probably up into Maine here, a pocket of storms likely this afternoon. Also here near the Mason-Dixon line of Pennsylvania and Maryland, they're going to see some, stronger storms and some heavy rainfall. And any of those areas could become strong to severe. I know we don't have anything from the Storm Prediction Center, but just know, generally speaking, those areas are going to have that chance. So watching out for that this afternoon. And that's going to continue into the evening. Could even get some showers kind of rolling off the Great Lakes here as that trough moves on through. But by the time we get into Friday afternoon here, you'll notice precipitation is hard to come by. And this is because that dry air is finally going to move in. It's going to make things feel nicer. It's going to limit those precipitation chances. And it'll be a beautiful Friday for much of the Northeast and New England. And then that's even going to continue likely into Saturday morning and probably even Saturday afternoon as well. So some good news up there for you folks. All right, the Southeast, again, you're going to see some rainfall, nothing new. We're right in that corridor of heavy rain this afternoon. Here we go, pockets of heavy rain from southeast Virginia. I think I've been saying Southwest Virginia all day. Southeastern Virginia, rather. Again, here is that pocket of heavy rain, and that's even going to extend all the way back down again towards Texas, where we're seeing that flooding. All of it's kind of connected in its own way. But this afternoon, again, we do have a marginal risk of severe weather here into the eastern Carolinas due to this kind of line of storms you're seeing here working into that circled area this afternoon. Strong straight line winds will be the main threat. Again, don't rule out a quick, brief tropical spin up, but nonetheless, heavy rainfall, frequent lightning will be the main threats, and that continues during the afternoon, during the evening hours, anywhere in the southeast, but especially the Carolinas and back towards Mississippi and Louisiana. Getting into the overnight, again, we're dealing with the same thing. Waking up tomorrow morning, rainfall looks a little less widespread than this morning, but by the time we get into the afternoon, here we go again, more widespread pockets of rain. Flooding will be a concern. Straight line winds, will be strong at times with some of these storms. Also, again, frequent lightning and, all the other threats you can think of with summertime storms. And then we get into Saturday morning here, and again, looks a little bit nicer. I think Saturday afternoon in general will be nicer as we kind of start to get some of that dry air. You can just kind of notice here, even with the isobars, how they're shaped here. Some of that damming that we often see in the wintertime with cold air damming, we could get the same setup with this, but it's going to be more dry air damming than cold air damming. So again, we'll hope for that. And again, I think rain chances slowly diminishing into the weekend, but not 0% by any means. All right, talking about that nicer, drier air. Here we go. This afternoon, this is today, nicer dew points. And again, dew point is going to be the number one indicator on how nice that air is. Starting in the Midwest, oozing into the Northeast here. And by the time we get later on into Friday afternoon, again, much of the Northeast, a beautiful Friday, as I mentioned. But watch what happens getting into Saturday afternoon. Some of this drier air even working into the mid-Atlantic here. Much of Virginia getting in on that. Even the northern part of North Carolina, probably Raleigh, Greensboro getting in on some nicer, drier air. And by the time we hit Sunday afternoon, some of that dry air even makes it all the way back down the spine of the Appalachia chain. Potentially, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, Columbia, Charlotte, some of these areas could start seeing some of that nicer air. But unfortunately, on the other side, you're seeing what's happening here. That flow out of the Gulf is going to come back with a vengeance for the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley. So again, right now the Midwest feels really nice. By the time we get into this weekend, it's going to be the Northeast and portions of the Mid-Atlantic that feel nice, while the Midwest and the Ohio River Valley get back in on that very moist flow out of the Gulf. And unfortunately, by the time we get into next Monday and Tuesday, all of us just about are back in that muggy weather outside of a couple spots in the Northeast. But by the middle of next week, again, really everybody's back into that summertime pattern. So we'll take what we can get here. Again, this is Saturday afternoon high temperatures. And note, again, this is also going to be a kind of more of a dry heat up into the Northeast and portions of the Mid-Atlantic. But high temperatures, pretty tame for this time of year, only up near 90 for much of us east of the Mississippi. But back into the Great Plains, you'll notice, again, that heat dome slowly building, highs back up into the upper 90s, near 100, and unfortunately, that's going to slide east by the time we get into next week. So we'll need to watch out for that, and you'll notice we can see that here on our models pretty well. Right here, this blue area, that's that trough that is currently bringing those nicer dew point values. But by the time we get into next week here, you'll notice here comes that heat dome slowly but surely. And again, we could get a little bit of troughing at times, but I think by the time we get really into the heart of next week, just about all of us are back under this ridge. So again, going to see that likely some warmer temperatures and some muggier air are going to be consequences of that, unfortunately. But either way, it's summertime. That's what we kind of expect. So we'll enjoy the dry air while we get it for the day or two we have it, and then get prepared for once again. Time to stay hydrated after that. So future radar, we'll start this Saturday afternoon. You'll notice, again, some of those rain chances are getting tampered down as some of that dry air tries to funnel down the Appalachia chain. But back out where that heat dome is building and that Gulf moisture is once again surging north, rainfall is going to once again poke its ugly head into the forecast here, and that will be a theme through much of next week. As that heat dome moves east, that rainfall moves east with it, and here we go next Monday afternoon. Again, rain chances bump back up for everybody, but I think it'll be less than this week. Next week will be a little more scattered to isolated, where compared to this week through much of the southeast, it was just widespread. Again, I think a little bit, harder to come by next week. But that should continue throughout much of next week, and we'll see if maybe a trough or two could try to work back into the forecast in the long run. But just know it's going to be hot, it's going to be muggy. Climate Prediction Center here to start August, well above average temperatures are likely for just about the entire lower 48. So we'll have pockets of areas that are a little closer to normal. Luckily here in the southeast, that's one of those pockets. Down near Texas, probably one of those pockets as well. But through the Great Plains and the Northeast, it's going to be hot in the 6 to 10 day range, and rain chances are going to diminish back out towards the Rockies and the Great Plains. East Coast, though, again, still some afternoon thunderstorms are very possible through this region, so we'll watch out for that. All right, let's talk about the tropics a little bit. I did allude at the beginning of the video that we could have some tropical mischief trying to fire here, and sure enough, it's all due to this big wave out here that is just off of the African coastline and just kind of leaving the African coastline. And this is a very, well-organized wave already, and, we're getting into that time of the year where, we watch this and we think, well, this has a chance to develop just based off of climatology, a robust wave moving off towards the end of July and into the main development region. Now, or I should say fortunately, not unfortunately, fortunately, dry air is still very prominent out here, and luckily that is going to help to also, sorry, the loop there seems to be having a little bit of a problem there at the end, so we'll just pause it here. But either way, you can see here, dry air is still very prominent in that yellow, so that is going to make it very difficult for this wave to develop. And again, I'll just circle it here for you. Here's the wave. Again, it's in its own kind of moist atmosphere right now, but it's moving this way, and there's a lot of dry air it's going to have to fight. So it's going to have a lot of trouble developing within the next 5 days, but some of the models are hinting here that after that, potentially, closer towards 7 days, maybe even 10 days from now, once this gets kind of into this region, could have a higher chance of developing. Now, model support is still very low on this, and it's unlikely anything happens at this point, but there is some support, and I want you to know about it, and I think more importantly, it's a sign of things to come here. As we start August and get into the middle of August and towards the end especially, the pattern's likely to flip out here into the Atlantic, and things are going to become more conducive for tropical development. And oftentimes what happens is waves like this kind of set the tone. This one kind of bites the bullet for the waves behind it, maybe kind of clears out some of that dry air, and moistens things up out here for the wave behind it. So we'll see if maybe that's what happens. But just know tropical development is not going to stay quiet forever. I think as we get into August, especially the middle of the month, things are going to pick back up here, and we'll have more to track. So again, that's what we're seeing out there right now, and I will continue to keep you updated. So again, I appreciate y'all hanging in there. I hope you have a wonderful rest of it is Thursday, July 25th. That's right, I said that at the beginning. So have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.